the rising threat of political violence in America, and what can you guys do to address it?
Yes, we do, and what we can do to address it, Congressman, is we need to get online partnerships with these companies in the public space, on these gaming sites, and on these social media sites. As I was saying earlier, there is no way to triage the amount of information generated on these sites by the FBI alone. And we need the public-private partnership. And there's another law that's expiring, I think, at the end of this month, which I believe we need renewed, that allows private sector companies to report into the FBI without liability for criminal investigatory purposes. And that's the kind of stuff we need to keep going.
Political violence in America, it's no longer just a talking point, it's becoming a national concern echoing through the chambers of Congress. On Capitol Hill this week, FBI Director Kash Patel faced lawmaker Mr. Gill in a tense hearing focused on the growing wave of politically motivated attacks. Mr. Gill condemned the violence in unequivocal terms, calling it evil, no matter which side it comes from. He warned that threats against elected officials and government institutions have surged to unprecedented levels, saying this kind of unrest poses a direct challenge to American democracy.
Thank you for depoliticizing the FBI and getting it back to its original mission as well. Director Patel, do you agree that we have a problem in the United States with politically motivated violence?
Absolutely.
And I very much agree. I think we can all agree that political violence is wrong, it's evil, regardless of which side it comes from, and that we can all adamantly and vehemently reject it, or we certainly should. But one of the things that we've noticed recently is that affinity and tolerance for political violence is not equally distributed on both sides of the aisle. In fact, right now, social media is filled with leftists who are cheering on the murder of an iconic conservative political figure, Charlie Kirk. And it's not just random people on Twitter doing this now. There's a YouGov poll released just a few days ago, which stated that 25% of those who identify as very liberal believe that political violence can sometimes be justified. That's far too many, is it not? It is.
One is far too many.
One is far too many. That's right. Only 3% of very conservatives said the same thing, and we can agree that 3% is far too many. But there's an astounding difference between 25% on the left accepting and tolerating political violence and 3% on the right. I would hope that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle would also recognize that there is a systemic problem on their side of the aisle with tolerance for violence against people with whom they politically disagree, that there is a cultural rot on their side of the aisle that needs to be addressed desperately. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
His message was clear. Political disagreements are part of democracy. Violence is not. But what really grabbed attention today was a new national poll revealing a stark divide in how Americans view political violence. The numbers are sobering. 25% of self-identified very liberal Americans say political violence can sometimes be justified. Compare that to just 3% among very conservative Americans. And inside that congressional hearing, you could feel the weight of that reality.
One of the more astounding aspects of this is that it's not just people. This comes from the very top, from their political leaders. Just a few days ago, a member of Congress of this body, Ilhan Omar, shared a video on her social media account about Charlie Kirk's murder, and I'll quote what it said. It said, "Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster shot him through the neck." In other words, Charlie had it coming to him. The words that he said naturally led to his assassination. I mean, that is a reprehensible thing for a member of Congress to say, to suggest, to promote in any capacity. And there are people across this country who are losing their jobs for far less than this. And that, by the way, is a just response to acceptance and tolerance of political violence. It's amazing to me that the political left today, who were the originators and the cheerleaders of cancel culture, now have the backbone to attack conservatives for defending their assassinated friend. But there's a key difference here. Democrats want to silence conservatives for speaking obvious, self-evident ontological truths like that men aren't women and men can't get pregnant. That seems pretty basic. That seems like a basic truth that we should all be able to agree on. Republicans, by contrast, are recognizing that a constitutional republic depends on the free and open exchange of ideas that we can debate without violence, and that assassinating a political rival is evil, it's wrong, and it should not be glorified or promoted or justified in any way, including in the way that Congresswoman Ilhan Omar did. So Mr. Patel, thank you again for being here. I'd like to, with the remainder of my time, just get your opinion. Does the FBI recognize the rising threat of political violence in America, and what can you guys do to address it?
Yes, we do, and what we can do to address it, Congressman, is we need to get online partnerships with these companies in the public space, on these gaming sites and on these social media sites. As I was saying earlier, there is no way to triage the amount of information generated on these sites by the FBI alone. And we need the public-private partnership. And there's another law that's expiring, I think, at the end of this month, which I believe we need renewed, that allows private sector companies to report into the FBI without liability for criminal investigatory purposes. And that's the kind of stuff we need to keep going.
Got it. Thank you, Director Patel. We really appreciate it.
Lawmaker Mr. Gill confronted Congresswoman Ilhan Omar over a social media post that appeared to glorify violence against conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The post read, "Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster shot him through the neck." To critics, that wasn't humor, it was hate speech, a disturbing signal that political violence is creeping into the mainstream. He accused Omar of normalizing violent rhetoric, while others warned that this kind of online provocation could have real-world consequences. Inside the hearing room, the message was clear. When elected officials flirt with violent imagery, democracy itself takes the hit. Mr. Gill delivered a sharp rebuke. "People lose their jobs for far less," he said. "Yet a sitting member of Congress appears to endorse violence. That's not just wrong, it's dangerous." His words cut through the chamber. Outrage, a pointed warning about how rhetoric in Washington is edging towards something far darker. In an era when political speech spreads instantly and emotions run high, today's hearing made one thing clear: the line between free expression and incitement is thinner than ever. Republicans at the hearing drew a firm line. They argued that a constitutional republic depends on free and open debate, even when the topics are uncomfortable or divisive. But the discussion took a sharp turn. Some lawmakers accused the political left of fostering what they described as a culture that excuses, and at times even normalizes, violence against opponents. It was a defining moment in the hearing, highlighting not just partisan tension, but a growing concern over whether America can still disagree without crossing the line into hostility. So, what is the government actually doing about it? FBI Director Patel told lawmakers the Bureau has been expanding its partnerships, not just with social media platforms, but even with online gaming networks, to identify potential threats before they escalate into violence. He pointed to a key federal law that protects companies when they report suspicious activity to authorities, a safeguard that's helped prevent numerous attacks. But there's a problem. That law is about to expire. And Patel warned that without it, many companies might think twice before alerting the FBI, potentially leaving dangerous threats unchecked. Here's the bottom line. Political violence is real, and social media is pouring gasoline on the fire. Congress is paying attention, but will action come before it's too late? If you want the story behind the headlines, subscribe to Congress Unpacked. I'll keep you informed. No spin, no noise, just straight answers from inside Capitol Hill.